What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing a coolant flush on the FJ. Of course you got to do from the radiator, but I'm going to be draining it from the block as well. So from the passenger side, this might be kind of difficult to show you, but basically, if you see that little nipple right there, you can hook up a hose to it and you can loosen that bolt that's right there, and the coolant should start coming out. In my opinion, the passenger side's easier than the driver's side. The driver's side on a 2008 FJ Cruiser at least has a little bit more to deal with. So I took the wheel off so I can actually reach. And if you can see where that red hose is hooked up, there's a little nut. It's kind of hard to see, but it's literally right there. If I can get the camera to focus. You just loosen that and coolant should start coming out. So the hose I used is just the Harbor Freight Special. Sorry for the lighting in here. I didn't turn on any of the lights, and my workbench is a mess, but I'm just using the hose from this transfer pump. I bought this like a year ago and I haven't even used it, but I cracked it open for this, and this hose actually fits fairly snugly on there, so hopefully it doesn't leak a whole lot. And my mom's gonna...
Anything from the restaurant, buddy?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my mom. So we're gonna be doing that today. And also, don't forget, make sure you have the right coolant on hand. I actually have 3.5 gallons of this stuff, but it's just the Toyota Long Life 50/50. A lot of people like to switch it out because some other stuff is cheaper, but I mean, I don't mind it just because it lasts pretty long, and you know, it's Toyota coolant, so in my opinion it's pretty good stuff. Other people might want to swap it out for something else, but I'm just gonna go with this for now. And I also, to make the burping of the system a little bit easier, I borrowed this from a buddy. I'll show you how this works later on, but it's a spill-free funnel for, you know, doing your coolant work or doing coolant flush and burping the system. So I'll get to that when I get to that, I'll show you guys how I've been doing it. And with this, I already showed you how I'm routing the lines and stuff like that. I'm just putting it up through here, so you know, gravity pulls all the fluids down and puts it into there, into just a container I have for now. Same with the other side. Passenger side, like I said, is probably a lot easier than driver's side. So yeah, I'm just gonna get to it, and I'll update you as I go. Okay, just as an update, got the bolt loosened, and I let a little bit of fluid out just to make sure it was the right thing, and I was loosening the right thing, and it was. So coolant's draining into this side right now. And on the passenger side, got the same thing. It's coming out. Let's see. What I used to do this basically was just an extension, a U-joint. The U-joint, more or less, I used for the driver's side just because it was kind of hard to get to at that angle. So I used the U-joint and the extension so I could actually reach out, and it was a 10mm. So, and it was pretty loose too. So it's not like I was, you know, fighting the U-joint and it was going in all sorts of directions on me. So it was pretty easy. I'm just waiting for these to drain on both sides, and then I'll drain the radiator. Something else to note is that this part of the driveway, for me at least, is sloped downward a little bit. I don't think that's going against me in any way. I think it actually helps. When I fill it, I'll probably, you know, fill the radiator, squeeze the hoses, and then once it's filled to a decent level, I'll actually turn it around and I'll point it so that the front is higher up. And then, like I said, I took this tire off the driver's side just because it was easier to get around. And also the other thing is, I did make sure it was pretty level on both sides when I jacked this up. So, you know, yeah, I made sure it was pretty level engine-wise. I mean, that's just kind of like my OCD, I suppose. So, yeah, it's just draining, and I'm going to wait for them to finish up, then I'll tighten those bolts back up, and then I'll drain the radiator. After I do that, then I'll probably update you then. But until then, it's just a waiting game for everything to come out and make sure nothing overflows. And then, yeah, just doing that and filling it up and doing everything else, but I'll show you the process as I go. So this is just where I'm at right now. It's just a waiting game. So yeah, I probably should have drained the radiator first because that drains out to the block, as far as I can tell. Pretty sure it does. So learn from my mistakes, drain from the radiator first. Not that it matters, it all ended up getting drained out anyway. So at this point I'm gonna use this thingy, and I should probably clean it because my other friend used it. He borrowed it from the friend that owns it, and it needs to be cleaned. It probably came like that, but I should probably clean it out a little bit first. I'm gonna put that on there, burp some hoses or squeeze some hoses, and then once it's filled to a decent amount, I'm gonna start the engine, put the heat all the way up just so it cycles coolant through the heater core, and then just, you know, watch for bubbles and keep checking temperatures and make sure it doesn't overheat or anything like that. You know, make sure the thermostat opens up, and then just keep filling until it stops bubbling. I'll probably drive it around for a little bit, let it cool off, and then I'll open the radiator cap and make sure it's filled right. So yeah, and make sure the reservoir has enough fluid in it and everything. And yeah, my engine bay is a little dirty. I clean it every once in a while. I clean it about once a year and it just ends up getting dirty again. I live on a dirt road. This is actually my driveway, but out there is a dirt road, and I like taking it off-road and stuff like that, so it gets dirty. I clean it about once a year, like I said. Something else that's pretty new in this video is this battery. I got an Odyssey battery from AutoZone. It was about $300, which is really, really hefty, but it's an AGM battery that's sealed, so I don't have to worry about it leaking acid or anything like that, and, you know, rusting. That, and from the reviews I've read, as long as you know, keep this thing charged, it'll last you a long time. I've seen people say that they last about 15 years if you keep it charged and put a battery blanket on it and all that stuff. So I'll have to order a battery blanket for it at some point, but that's beside the point. So I'm just gonna clean that out a little bit, and then I'll show you the process once that's cleaned out. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the inside of the funnel cleaned, and it's a little bit windy, so hopefully that doesn't mess with the audio too much, but the inside of the funnel is cleaned. Under here is that little cap. They kind of look like this, but they're different sizes. Or not cap, but I don't know what you would call that thing. I don't know. Anyway, I have that installed, and then I have the cap over that. So now I'm just going to pour the fluid in, squeeze some hoses, and yeah, so this is all the same stuff. It's just super long life antifreeze. So this one's about half full. I do have another gallon of this sitting in the garage. I didn't think I would need it. If I do, then I'll pull it out, but now you just make sure it's not old or used. And it's hard to tell, but I mean, I separate all the old stuff from the new stuff. I put them in 2 different spots, so I'll just put a little bit out first. And yeah, we're good. So just fill it up. I could probably set the tripod down somewhere and move this seal out of the way. Or, yeah. It'd help if I move that, wouldn't it? It's bubbling alright. It's going in. So, and keep in mind I pulled out about 2.5 gallons. Everyone's, you know, might be a little bit different, so put in what you put out, and then of course fill it the right way and stuff like that. So if I'm doing it this way, I'm gonna have to open another jug, and I'm probably just gonna set the camera and do a hyperlapse or something. Okay guys, so I put the wheel back on and torqued all the lug nuts down to 85 foot-pounds per specification. And now I'm going to start the engine, and hopefully the bubbles start coming up, and got the keys in my hand. We're going to start the car. And I have my little thermometer thing. If you guys want me to do a review of this thing, I forgot what it's called off the top of my head, but I have the original packaging in the box for it, and I can go over it. Basically, I have it to tell me torque converter temp, oil pan temp, engine temp, the estimated amount of fuel I have left, instant MPG, average MPG, and it tells you all kinds of things. You can clear codes with it, you can scan codes with it. It's a neat little thing, but roll this window down. I'm gonna head up here and look at this. There's some stuff coming through, but not much right now. So what I'm gonna do is, because the engine's kind of at a tilt downward, I'm gonna actually turn the car around real quick, so it's the other way around. The radiator cap is on the high part. Probably could have just jacked it up instead, but I am just gonna turn it around real quick and slowly and all that stuff. So yeah, okay. Okay, so it's all turned around, and right away, right after I ended the video, I put the heater on full heat, and I just checked right before I picked up the camera, and there was a pretty good amount of bubbles coming out. Still raining slowly, or the air is starting to come out very slowly, but it's happening. Oh, look at the neighbor's dogs. Okay, anyway, they're adorable. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on this. It's at 131 right now, and I mean, double checking it with the factory gauge, but this gauge doesn't help very much, because it's like, what temp is that in terms of like Celsius or Fahrenheit? I'm in America, so I use Fahrenheit, but yeah, so it's at 131 according to this. According to that, it's still cold, so yep. And I should probably turn that off. I didn't even notice that, honestly, but it's all the way up, and yeah, it's pretty hot in here, so I'm gonna get out. Hi! You're so adorable. You're so adorable. Okay, let's go back to this real quick. Oh, they're still coming. And then I also did put a little bit into the reservoir, just a little bit, not to the right amount yet. I'll fill that up afterwards, probably using what's left in here, but it's still coming, so we're just gonna, it's just time at this point, so I'm just gonna let it happen. And I'm gonna move these fluids, making sure these dogs avoid it, but I'm gonna move these into those old containers, just because those lids aren't the best. So I'm gonna put it back into there. I didn't have containers like this at the time, so I just used what I had laying around. So I'm gonna fill these up with it and make sure the dogs don't lick anything off the ground, because coolant is very sweet to them and they like to drink it, but it's very poisonous to them. So whenever you're doing this, you got to make sure that the animals aren't trying to drink anything like that, and not to poison them. So yeah, just gonna wait for the air bubbles to finish up and make sure my thermostat opens up at around 180. That's what the stock is for these, I think, is it opens right around 180 degrees, give or take. It just hit 140, so we're just gonna wait for the bubbles to stop showing up, make sure the thermostat opens and all that, and yeah, there's a bunch of little ones. I don't know if I can get it on camera, I can't really see my screen right now, but there's a bunch of little ones coming up. Well, there's a couple big ones. So, yep. If you don't have one of these already, or your friend doesn't have one to let you borrow one, I would pick one up. I'll try and leave a link in the description. And these things are awesome. There was another system I considered getting. It basically puts a seal on the entire system, so you can actually check for coolant leaks too. But I haven't ever had to fill the coolant on this, with the exception of one time, because I accidentally drained the reservoir for some stupid reason. But the other system I was looking at was like 130 bucks, which was a little ridiculous to me. I mean, yeah, it makes it a lot easier, but this makes it just as easy, in my opinion, for the price especially. It's somewhere around 20 or 30 bucks. And if you do your own, coolant systems and you have multiple vehicles, I would definitely check it out. and consider it. There's plenty of YouTube videos on how to use them if you didn't like my guide for whatever reason, or if I wasn't detailed enough. I just give a very basic overview of how to do it, and this is my 2008 FJ Cruiser and how to do coolant. So yeah.